Hi, I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And I'm Jason Inman.
And welcome to Geek News Friday, where we are going to unpack some geek news for you because it's Friday.
That's right. We want to talk about some geeky news stories because it's a fun way, because a lot of people just ask on the internet all our opinions about this. It's easy to just put it in one big video. So let's move on to the first story.
A Nightwing movie has been announced. Warner Brothers announced yesterday that they would be producing a live-action Nightwing movie directed by Chris McKay, who recently directed Lego Batman. This will be the first time Dick Grayson has been seen in a Batman feature film since Chris O'Donnell played him in the 1990s. All right, so the most obvious question is, are you excited about a full-length Nightwing movie, Jason Inman?
Yes, how would I not be excited about a full-length Nightwing movie? I have like 3 Nightwing action figures on the set. Why wouldn't I be action figured about this action figure
exactly.
movie? I'm very excited about this. I think this is a very good move because, again, the scene in Batman v Superman showed us that there is a world of Robins out there, and we assume, and most people confirmed, that it was Jason Todd. So the idea is that there is a Dick Grayson out there if you follow the comic book continuity. That excites me. Also, with this older Batman we have in this universe, it makes sense that there's a Nightwing movie. I actually have said that there's probably a Nightwing in this universe, and they should do a Nightwing movie several times in Collider Heroes before. So this is exciting to me. Go for it. And you could do a Nightwing movie without even setting him up in any other movies, too.
That's true. And you could definitely, if you sequestered him to Bloodhaven, like some of his most famous stories have been, that'd be a great way to keep him a little bit segregated from the larger DCEU.
Yeah.
Okay, I also want to ask you the thing that everybody is asking us all over the internet. Who do you think should be playing this live-action Nightwing?
I might forget his name, but I might need your help with this one. I heard this one for a long time. I was the actor who played from Walking Dead, and he just recently died.
Stephen Yeun?
Stephen Yeun. Yes. I for a long time I've been saying Stephen Yeun. I think that it should have been him, but then I heard a name yesterday, and everybody's talking about that, and now I kind of think that he should be it. And I think it's the lead of Tron Legacy,
Garrett Hedlund.
Garrett Hedlund, I think, should play Nightwing, because if you go back and watch Tron Legacy, he does act a lot like Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson should have youthful energy, but at the same time, when it comes down to business, you need to believe that this is the guy who can replace Batman.
Yes.
And that's what that Nightwing is. But he's the guy who can replace Batman, but he has a youthful energy again. And I think that's something, if you go back and watch Tron Legacy, that's something that Garrett Hedlund did very, very well.
He's playing a version of a Legacy character in Tron Legacy.
He is. He's playing
It's there in the name.
He's playing the son of Flynn. And the way he interacts with Jeff Bridges in that movie, to me, is something that I would love to see in the Batman-Nightwing relationship. And you can kind of watch that movie as, if you look at Tron Legacy, it is sort of a Batman-type character, a Superman-type character, training his replacement throughout the entire movie. And it's very intriguing. It's very interesting. I think he could do it. He has the right look. But
he's kind of the perfect age. He's 32.
Yeah.
So with an older Batman, if you want to say
with a Batman that's 44, yeah.
that he had a certain amount of time there as Robin, like 32 is a good age, I think, to cast an older Nightwing.
And you would believe that he's competent enough to like replace the Bat. Who do you think?
I've been saying it for years. I think it should be Matt Bomer. He is too old now, but I don't think that ever stops anyone from doing any casting, whether you are too old or too young. Yeah, who cares? If you follow White Collar and then like his new cinematic career that's kind of that he's exploring, I think he is a tremendous actor who can handle some of the darker storytelling that you would need for this character. He's very flappy at the jaw in White Collar as well. He cracks off a lot of jokes.
Flappy at the jaw.
That's an expression that people say.
Is it?
Yes, against Tim DeKay's character. So he's fighting an authoritarian figure in that who he admires and has to work with at the same time, which is a similar dynamic to Dick and Bruce. And he's a dancer, so he's got a good sense of movement, which
he could be acrobatic.
He could. I don't know. You're gonna hire a stunt guy, but if you could have someone like Stephen Amell who can do like the really important moves and then bring in a double, I think that would be really important. He's got a great chin. And he takes his shirt off for absolutely no reason a lot in that show, which is something I want in a Dick Grayson movie.
Well, it's something Dick Grayson does in the comic books a lot.
Yeah,
so, that fits in. Whoever gets this role, and I actually think that they might cast an unknown more than anybody that has any kind of a name.
I think so too.
Because I think they're going to want to build that actor up. And I think you are right. I kind of do think that they're going to go find somebody with stunt training.
Well, I think this puts someone like Ryan Potter, who was a voice in Big Hero 6, and we saw his Robin audition piece that he put together with the Bow Staff. This puts him in a great position because he's worked in film, but he has a lot of fight training. Or Harry Shum Jr., who's another dancer who was on Glee, who is one of the leads of the new Crouching Tiger movie, who has wushu experience. Actors like that are in a prime position right now to take on a role like this.
Well, because think of a Nightwing movie, a perfect Nightwing movie would be something akin to John Wick.
Yes,
and it would
very much so.
It would be this movie where, and to me, I would want to make Nightwing's biggest villain as Blockbuster. I would want to make it him in Bloodhaven going against Blockbuster, and it's basically like he has to fight through all these dudes. And if you could do these amazing fight scenes, in Nightwing, kind of John Wick style, where we can see that it's actually the actor playing Nightwing, I think that movie would rock it off. And also, those movies are very inexpensive to make. They're very cheap to make.
Well, that's the thing that you can do with vigilante characters, too, as opposed to superheroes.
Yes, because their abilities aren't CGI.
Right, yeah. If you're just paying someone, whether it's the leading actor or a stunt person, to execute fight choreography, you can do more and you can do bigger set-piece fights and kind of have that as the narrative structure of your movie.
Let me ask you this. That's a question I want to ask you. Do you think, because you just did an article about this for Crave, Crave.com.
Go look for it.
Go check it out. Who should play Nightwing? Do you think they're going to cast one of those actors, one of the 10, or do you think they're going to go for an unknown?
You know, I would say they're probably not. They're not. I don't think they're going to go Matt Bomer, Stephen Yeun, Garrett Hedlund, or Taron Egerton, who are like the big 4 fan favorites.
Yeah.
Because DCEU movies have really rejected basically everyone's suggestions.
All you have to do is go back to the time when everybody was thinking about Batman
and Wonder Woman.
Batman and Wonder Woman, and everybody. There's always these wish lists. Ben Affleck was not on a single one of those lists.
And I will say that even though the people at Warner Brothers are rejecting fan suggestions, they make great casting choices. No matter what you think of the movie, Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot are perfect for those parts.
I agree with you. They are a well-cast trinity.
So I think there's a good chance that the person who's going to play Nightwing is not somebody on my list, although I'll be really proud of myself if he is. But I think that it would be an interesting character to like open up the universe into some diverse representation. Like Nightwing doesn't have to be white, so why not explore a great African American actor, a great Hispanic actor? Like the character is so exciting because we obviously love him a lot, but what the movie and the possibilities of the movie could turn into, I think, are very exciting as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It could literally any male actor could play Nightwing.
Call your agents right now.
Any male actor, I would say, from 23 to 38 could play Nightwing right now. And it's like, wow, get on it. I mean, like, I would love to throw my hat into the ring, but I
suggest that on Twitter.
I'm nowhere near as fit enough. So, and you need
start doing crunches right now.
You need abs for days. I don't have those.
And you need a great butt. That is a staple of Nightwing storytelling.
Well, come on. You can see it in this video. But speaking of things that you can't see in this video, or you can, let's go to the next story.
Wolverine wants to be in the MCU. In an interview with Screen Rant during the press junket for his upcoming movie Logan, actor Hugh Jackman stated that he would be interested in continuing to play fan favorite Wolverine if the X-Men were introduced into Marvel Studios continuity. That is such a big statement, and I think maybe not a wholly surprising one given the success of the MCU.
Let me ask you.
Yes.
All right, we'll start it off. We'll flip it up here. Do you want to see the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No.
What?
I don't. I don't.
What?
I don't.
I don't know if I can sit on this couch with you anymore. No, I'm joking.
It's a big couch. I'll stretch out. Look, we're going to disagree on the internet and still end this video as friends. Oh, my God.
Fine. So why?
Because I have feelings about the X-Men in movies that are similar to my feelings about them in comic books. I think that...
I just think, the way you said that statement, I have feelings about the X-Men, that would be perfect on a t-shirt.
You make that t-shirt, I will buy
Continue. You have feelings about the X-Men.
I have feelings about the X-Men.
Yeah.
Most of them are blue, fuzzy elves.
Okay.
So I think that the X-Men work the best when they are, this is a bad word, but when they are segregated. I think the X-Men need to be confined to their own little corner of the universe. And I think that when you have the X-Men existing in the same world as the Avengers and Spider-Man, then it's the same argument. Like, how do you know that the guy with claws is any different than the guy who got bit by a spider? Why are you being pretend racist against this guy and not against this guy?
Yes.
You know, so that muddies the water for me. So I like that they are in their own little pocket of a film universe that doesn't cross over with the MCU. So while I think that being in the MCU would probably make better movies than we've had over the last decade or so, and I wouldn't be against that team coming onto the X-Men. I do not want them. I don't want Wolverine showing up to talk to Captain America. I don't. That personally, I wouldn't be down for that.
Yeah.
Do you think they should be integrated?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I understand all of your points, and I do agree with quite a bit of them, that the X-Men work better when they're in their own separate universe. I've been saying that for the comic books for a long time, that I think Marvel should have taken the X-Men off into their own universe, and they're just on a separate planet. Or it's like the only X-Men book we get is Ultimate X-Men, something like that.
I agree. Also, X-Men should never go to space. You
know, but also at the same time, seeing the X-Men on like Uncanny Avengers and Wolverine in the Avengers and stuff like that creates these interesting story opportunities that I think that to deny that to the movies is a wrong move. And also, to be honest with you, I think we're going to get the X-Men in the Marvel Universe simply for the point that 5 to 10 years down the road, when the Marvel movies have run their course, like all movie trends do.
The X-Men is a perfect example of that. Well, we're at the end of a dying franchise.
Exactly. I don't know if I would call it dying, but
I don't mean
diminishing
returns. Yeah, I don't mean like, oh, it's died this horrible fiery death, but it is definitely ramping down.
But I would say like, I could see them introducing the X-Men into this universe simply for the fact to boost up the sales. Like, they always do that. Like, oh, you know, it's always you inject, like, do you make two heroes fight each other for a comic book event to boost sales?
I guess I would rather see it as a Netflix-type show than a movie. Because I think X-Men...
they're not going to leave Wolverine on television.
No, but I think X-Men work better in longer-form storytelling.
I agree with you.
Than in, like, a short movie.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Okay, so yes for X-Men in the universe, no for you. Okay, so let's say they're going to do this because Marvel hears Hugh Jackman and they're like, that's stupid if we don't do this.
That's legit.
To be honest with you, I guarantee you the conversation has been had. Since Hugh Jackman is like, look, if you want me to be Wolverine in an Avengers movie, I'm going to do it. If any smart person, and Kevin Feige is
obviously very smart,
I guarantee you there has been a meeting about simply being like, how can we do this? Because the greatest Wolverine of all time. Come on, Hugh Jackman.
Well, also the only Wolverine of all time.
True.
But he's a great Wolverine.
Mark Hamill did voice Wolverine once in the X-Men video game. So
if Mark Hamill decided he wanted to be live-action Wolverine, I'd be down. I would be dead.
I'd be fine with that.
He's almost the perfect height.
Yep. Okay, so let's say they're going to do this.
Sure.
They've announced that the Avengers movie post-Infinity War, Wolverine's going to be in it.
Yeah.
How do you introduce Wolverine into that universe?
Well, luckily, the Marvel comic universe is really weird right now. And I would actually lift something directly from that. I would have some cataclysmic event happen, and it could be as early as Infinity War, if that's if you want to try and cram 163 characters into that movie.
Yep.
I would introduce Old Man Logan from the movie universe.
Whoa.
Because Hugh Jackman's only going to get older. Sorry, you can't de-age him.
Yep.
You could put that weird, like, Ant-Man filter on him where he looks real smooth and shiny. But I think...
7 layers of CoverGirl.
Exactly.
Okay.
CoverGirl doesn't cover boy,
Old Man Logan, interesting.
Yeah, so I would just have him, like, lean into it. Like, he doesn't have to be geriatric, but, like, have him be, like, a badass, older statesman of the universe who comes through from the Logan universe. You could literally have it pick up right after the events of that movie close.
If he survives. We haven't seen the movie.
It's just true if he survives. I'm betting he survives if he's talking about making more movies.
He survives, yeah.
You can't kill Wolverine.
Yeah, you can't kill Wolverine.
And that's be the way I would be like, oh, Cosmic Cube stuff, Infinity Stones, and surprise, he's in our universe. Because Wolverine would be a great character to audition talking about bringing in a larger X-Men story. So, yeah, I would do really similar to what the comics just did, actually. Do you have a different idea about how to introduce him?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. I don't think you need to do Old Man Logan because we have aged Wolverine over almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty close to 20 years of him as Wolverine.
Yeah, like 17 or 18.
And he already looks different, and we've just kind of moved past it. They also did the same thing with Data in Star Trek Next Generation. Data was supposed to be an unaging android. Brent Spiner in Star Trek Nemesis looks old. We just didn't say anything. Leonard Nimoy as Spock did the same thing. He's supposed to be a Vulcan that lives to be 250 years old. And by the end of that last movie, boy, he sure looks 60. But we ignored it.
Yeah.
We ignored it. So I think we can ignore Wolverine. I think it's a smart move, but I think Old Man Logan complicates the universe a little bit too much. And we don't need to complicate the Marvel universe anymore. True. I'm just stating for my reasons. So Wolverine just shows up as Wolverine, basically.
Sure.
But how I would introduce him is I would have a flashback to World War II, and Captain America and Bucky meet him in the D-Day invasion, because in the comic books, Wolverine was a part of D-Day.
Yes.
And that's where I think you introduce him. I think in the modern day, I think you do a scene just like First Class. Like, I think you have a scene where, like, Captain America needs Wolverine, and they're like, oh, man, if only we had a guy. And Captain America's like, I know a guy.
I know a Canadian.
Yes, I know a Canadian. Great. Yes, take that line.
We were there.
And we see the flashback, and then they walk into the bar, and it's Bucky and Captain America, and they offer him a job. And this time he says, you know, F off. But Captain America, like, throws down maybe his dog tags and is like, no, you owe me, soldier.
Well, first Captain America says language.
And then he says, you owe me one, soldier.
Yeah.
And then that's what gets him to come into the movie.
Marvel can hire us to write their movies at any time.
There you go.
I think that's a great pitch for introducing Wolverine into the larger MCU.
Yes, there you go. And it will a little bit explain why we haven't seen him in the previous movies. He's a loner, and he wanted nothing to do with that universe.
I mean, that's Wolverine to a T.
There you go. All right, let's move to the next story.
The Inhumans has cast Maximus. Jawiin Rayon, who plays Ramsay Bolton on Game of Thrones, has just been cast in Marvel's Inhumans television show that will air on ABC. He is the first from the royal family of Atalan to be announced, and leaves us wondering who else will be joining the show along with him. All right, so obvious first question. First, Jason, what do we think about Ramsay Bolton joining the Inhumans? Good casting choice,
It's a great casting choice. He looks exactly like Maximus from the comic books, and basically he can just be what's his Game of Thrones name again? I'm sorry.
Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay Bolton. I wanted to call him Theon. I knew that was wrong. I know that's the guy that he tortures.
He is a precious part of Theon.
I knew that. He can just play Ramsay and be Maximus. It'll fit the character. What do you think?
I think he's a great casting choice as well. I was actually bandying him around to be Lex Luthor on Supergirl. I think he's a really...
Not anymore.
I think he's a really tremendous actor. If you've seen Misfits, you can see that he can handle, like, superhero type storytelling, and I would love to see him return to that role. Although, ironically, in Misfits, he's like a good guy, and on Game of Thrones, he's a bad guy, and I feel like in Inhumans, he's going to continue kind of being a bad guy.
Well, Maximus is a villain, but they also have done several stories where Maximus is sort of like working with them, but yet at the same time betraying. He's
the Loki of that universe.
Exactly.
Well, then that's why they cast someone from the British Isles, clearly. Okay, so now that we have Maximus, I think, too, is a weird casting choice to lead with.
Yeah.
But he's a name that people know. Spoilers for the end of the last season of Game of Thrones, that was way more than 2 weeks old. He died there, so we know that he is not going to continue on with that show. So maybe that's why they wanted to lead with that. Let's talk about who we would maybe like to see in some of the other roles. And why not start with Black Bolt, who I think is the most obvious place to start.
Well, the interesting thing about Black Bolt is that Maximus and Black Bolt are brothers.
Yes.
So you have to think about...
someone who looks like him.
Well, I don't know if you have to do that, but you have to think about, too, as well, like his age. Like, because I originally was going to say Timothy Olyphant as Black Bolt. But Timothy Olyphant's a little bit on the older side now.
He's in his 40s.
So if they're going for a little bit younger, I don't know. Like, I want to say here are my two choices right now.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, you can't have siblings that are decades apart.
Sure. Especially in a royal weird alien family.
Yeah.
My two choices are Timothy Olyphant or Titus Welliver.
Ooh, you're going a much older.
Yeah, Titus Welliver, who played Bosch, who also was the Man in Black.
Who is somewhere on the show.
He's right here.
There you go.
On our he's right there on our set. I think both characters. I actually think Titus Welliver would do a better job, so I'm gonna go with Titus Welliver.
Sure.
Whoever plays Black Bolt has to be silent.
So they have to have.
Unless they do some sort of scene where they go inside his head and you can hear him talking, I hope they don't do that. But yeah, he has to be a character actor who can play with not saying anything. Now, Titus Welliver is the man of Million Mile Stares. And he's...
Well said.
He is.
Do you work for Titus Welliver?
I wish I did, because he's an excellent actor, and I like him. Titus Welliver, reach out to me. I know you're watching this video. So, you know, he does it on Bosch. He does it on Lost. He did it on Deadwood. He's very good about his eyes telling you exactly what he thinks, and that's what you need for Black Bolt. What do you think?
Much like you, I have two choices in mind. Of course, everyone's thinking Vin Diesel because Vin Diesel has said for 100,000 years that he would like this part.
In a perfect world, I do want Vin Diesel to play this part, but he won't do it on TV.
I don't think he'll do it on TV. I also think that with him being Groot, even though it's just a voice, there would be some weirdness there, so that would be sad. So my preference over that would actually be Matthew Fox, another Lost actor, who has great presence.
Interesting.
Who can do really good eye acting. He mists up a lot over the course of that show.
I don't have a pop of him.
Too bad.
He's a very good crier. He's an amazing actor.
He's a great physical actor, too. Yeah. Even in Speed Racer, when he's playing Racer X, he doesn't have a ton of lines there, but he's got great presence.
And to help your argument, think about Speed Racer. He's wearing a mask that's very similar to what Black Bolt wears.
And, as we know from Lost, he's great with dogs, so he'd be perfect shoe-in to work with Lockjaw.
If Lockjaw's even in this show, but sure.
If Lockjaw's not in this show, I'm gonna flip a table.
Hey, I'll go with your argument. That's fine. That's Matthew Fox is a good choice.
I don't know if he super looks like Aaron Rayon. You got a really hard name to say. I'm sorry.
I would buy that they're brothers.
Yeah.
If
they had a similar hairstyle, I think it would help.
I would buy that they're brothers. Yeah, I would. Oh, good choices. So let us know down in the comments your thoughts on what we thought about these stories, and don't forget to click subscribe.
And why not click on one of the videos that is on the screen, because I bet you're going to find some geeky goodness that you will dig.
We'll see you next Friday for more Geeky Friday news.